Okay, let's start. Good morning or good evening to all, and welcome to the Data-Driven Community virtual meeting. A few words about the Data-Driven Community and our official great announcement for today. If you will check the community website, then you can notice on the right upper corner a new button. The future data-driven call for speaker. During the last weekly meeting, we announced the opening of the call for speaker. So if you want to speak at the conference, you are more than welcome to submit your session. I will put all the link in the chat when we will start the session itself. And today, we are officially announcing the opening of the registration for the audience, for people that want to participate and join. So if you will scroll down the main page of the community a bit, you can see the upcoming event. On the left side of the page, you can notice the new information about the Future Data-Driven Summit 2025. This is an annual joint conference we are leading and running with multiple data platform user group partners. The second branch of activity are the weekly meetings of the Cloud Data-Driven user group, like today. You are more than welcome if you have any question or you just want to contact one of the community board members. So we have Jen Joseph, who is also the founder of the community and the co-administrator, of course. We have Anna Weekly, who is a community moderator and event organizer, and we have Dusty Glory, who is a moderator and event organizer as well. And myself, I'm a co-administrator of the data-driven community. My name is Ronen Arieli. I'm from Israel, working as senior consultant in the field of data platform and architecture of enterprise-level system, and I will be hosting the session today. Together, we are here to help and serve the data platform community. This is a great opportunity to invite all to join the International Women Day 2025 on Saturday, this Saturday, March 8th. Our community leader, Dusty, will be speaking there as well, so you don't want to miss her session. And you have the QR. Again, you can download the recording, and I will put all the information in the chat during the session itself in several minutes. During the meeting today, please feel free to use the chat for questions and discussions as well. This is not a conference. This is a user group meeting. We are more flexible with the time, and we can have discussions. So we can answer someone else's question as well. You are also welcome to use reactions. Now, this is something that I love a lot in Teams. It doesn't interfere with the course of the meeting. If you hear something that you love, like, or you just want to clap hands, virtually, of course, then feel free to use the reactions. Okay, well, while we are here today, I am honored to introduce our guest speaker, which actually is not exactly a guest in our community, because if we are thinking about this, Lakshmi spoke in our community multiple times, and more than this, Lakshmi was a member in the team that ran the Future Data-Driven Summit several years, and she already informed me that she will join this year as well. So here you have one of the board members of the Future Data-Driven Summit with us. Lakshmi is a product lead and Microsoft certified Power BI data analyst. And I think that the best option is to let you present yourself. So Lakshmi, you can share your screen and add a few words about yourself.
Absolutely. Let me just go ahead and share my screen.
Great, we can see it.
Perfect. Okay, so hi everyone. Before I start with the session, I want to give a quick shout out to the Cloud Data Driven Online User Group and to Ronan as well. And a huge thank you to everyone who's taking out time for my session. So, the title of my session is I'm going to introduce you to a new tool called Powerops Desktop. It's a free tool which will help you increase productivity for all the Power BI developers as well as Power BI users. Okay. So before we begin, quick thing about me. So my name is Lakshmi. I am a Microsoft certified Power BI data analyst. I am very passionate about visualization. I am known for my creative and innovative reports. You can check me out on LinkedIn as well. Also, I'm a regular contributor to the data community. I love talking, and I've been speaking at different events on different topics about data visualization. I also have a Medium blog wherein I share my experiences, tips, and tricks that I use to create a perfect data dashboard. Currently, I am a product lead at TrueWiz, and PowerOps is like a baby to me. So I've been with PowerOps since the scratch. On a personal note, I'm a huge advocate of diversity and inclusion. Apart from that, I'm a proud dog mom. I love going on adventures and I'm a big foodie. Before we begin the session, I would like to tell you a little bit about TrueWiz. So, TrueWiz is where I work as a product lead. We have three different tools called PowerWiz, PowerOps, and Power Optimizer. PowerWiz for all those who love experimenting with visuals and custom visuals. That's a perfect choice because we have an advanced library of custom visuals. PowerOps, so a productivity tool which you could use, and I will talk more about PowerOps as we go by in the session. And then there's a new tool called Power Optimizer that is coming up, which has amazing capabilities to help you optimize your reports that will in turn affect and improve the efficiency and performance of your reports. So let's quickly get started with the agenda. Quick introduction with Power Apps, and then we'll move on to what are the types that we offer, and obviously the demo, and we'll end and wrap up the session with pricing details, a couple of security stuff, and what we have on the roadmap. So I am not going to bore you much with the presentation. We'll have more of demos. Let's begin. So coming to PowerUps. So what is PowerUps? PowerUps is a single platform where you can analyze your report, find usage, find dependencies inside your report, compared to versions of a same report, version control your reports, and my favorite feature, self-audit your own Power BI reports against best standards that you find in the industry. And the best part about PowerOps is it's very intuitive, very user friendly. You have minimum to no learning curve. Coming to the product types, like I mentioned, we have two products. We have PowerOps Desktop and PowerOps SaaS. PowerOps Desktop, you can say it's like a local hero. So it's an external tool that lies locally in your system, does not need internet. So it's like PowerOps on the go. And then we have PowerUp SaaS, which is an end-to-end platform that we offer. And you can say it's like a global guardian angel, which will do everything. And since it supports version history, we do require internet for this. Quick comparison between the two. So PowerOps SaaS has everything that PowerOps Desktop offers, along with extra features like version controlling and automated deployments. Coming to use case scenarios, PowerUps Desktop is great for individuals, consultants, or small businesses who aren't really looking into version controlling. PowerUp SaaS is perfect for large organizations and enterprises where they see they have a need of version control. So just before we begin the demonstration, I want to talk about our showstopper, which is the automated documentation generation. So, you know, when you create a beautiful Power BI report and you submit it, people come asking you for documentation. Now, to create that documentation manually, it takes a lot of time, a lot of efforts, and it's very irritating. So, what we've done is we've come up with an automated documentation feature which will create a detailed documentation of your entire Power BI report, both on the report level as well as the model level, just by a single click. So basically, you're saving time and you're saving efforts. I will show you a quick demo of this as well. So yeah, let's quickly get started with the demo. I am going to open Powerops. So powerops.app is our website from where you would be able to download Powerops desktop. Just hover onto Powerops desktop, put in your email, agree to the terms, and download it. Once you download and install, there are two ways of how you can open up Powerops desktop. The first way is basically directly go to your report. So this is a sample report that I've created. Once you install Powerops, under the external rules tab, you will see the Powerops coming up. So once you hit Powerops, Powerops opens up. Or you can directly open Powerops and then go ahead and load your file. When you load a file in the add a file feature, there are two ways you can do it. Either pick from any of the recent Power BI file that you've been using, or you can open a PBIX fresh. In the PBIX, we support both the entire thick reports, or maybe you just want to analyze your model, you can go ahead with semantic model as well. In the report, we've supported formats like PBIX, PBIP, and PBIT. For those who are regular users of Power BI, you know that PBIP is something that Power BI just came up with. So we've made sure that no matter how many upgrades Power BI brings in, we make sure that our product Powerops is updated as per what Power BI updates us. So for this demo purposes, I'm going to simply load in a PBIX file. Just click report, PBIX, browse, and select the report that you want. Once you select the report you want, one thing you will notice is Power BI desktop will automatically open up. So now what's happening is my sales report is opening up. The reason being, we are trying to establish a connection between Powerops and Power BI desktop so that any change you make in your Power BI desktop gets reflected in Powerops. I will show you a quick demo of what I'm talking about. Now, let's simply open the sales report. Depending on the size of your report, it might take a couple of seconds to open up. Currently, you see visuals by page, wherein it tells me that I have 5 pages here, where I see my page 1 and page 2 have literally 0 visuals. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go back to my report, go to page 2. Once I go to page 2, I see that, oh, my page is empty. So basically, it was not needed. I am going to delete it from my Power BI desktop, and I am going to save this. Once I save it, excuse me, and go back to Powerops, you will see a pop-up on the top which tells you that the file has been modified. Do you want to reload it? And I hit reload now. Once I hit reload, you will be able to see that the page 2, which was deleted, vanishes away from Powerops. So this is what I was talking about, where I am trying to develop a connection between Powerops and Power BI desktop. So whatever changes you're going to do it in Power BI desktop will immediately get reflected in Powerops. So once your file is open and ready, you will see 4 sections on the top: analyze, find usage, compare, and my favorite section, the best practice section. Let's begin with analyze. Analyze section basically gives you a complete overview of your report. Talking about a use case scenario, say you have a team and there are 3 to 4 new members who've joined your team. Now, instead of you sitting and giving them a complete KT about what the data model is about, what are your report elements, or opening a report and explaining each and everything, you can just hand over this tool, because the analyze section will give them an entire view of your report. So if you see currently in the summary section, you will be able to see how many pages are there, what are the number of visuals, how many filters are there, along with more information in a summarized view. In the model level section, you will be able to see model level information. So basically, what are the number of tables, how many measures you have, and so on. Excuse me for that. Moving on to the report section, we have a more detailed view. Just instead of telling there are 4 pages, excuse me, just instead of telling that there are 4 pages, I am going to tell the users or the people who are viewing about the 4 pages, like what are the page size, what is the canvas type, what are the background colors, and so on. Quick UI features to notice is we have a search option. If you have more than, say, 20 to 30 pages, instead of you going and scrolling, you can always use a search option. Quick use case scenario, say your client gave you a task of creating a report, and the next day he suddenly tells you, can you please update me how many pages you've created? Instead of you manually typing it out, we have given you an option called export, where you can export this particular table in a CSV or Excel format. Once you export it, you just have to attach it to your email and send it to your clients. So this is a quick way of how you can save your time by using this tool. Coming to the visuals, all the report elements, all the visuals in your report get listed out here, along with more information about what is the title of the visual or what is the type of the visual. And you see a preview button here where you will be able to see which exact visual we're talking about and where that particular visual is present. Custom visuals. Sometimes what happens is we download a lot of custom visuals just because we want to experiment stuff and end up not using most of them. So what we've done is we've given you a separate segregation of the used and unused visuals. Coming to the used visuals, so basically it's telling me that in my entire report, I have two custom visuals that I've used. Filters. Another quick information here is we sometimes apply a lot of visual level filters. And if you have to figure out what the visual level filter is, you have to navigate manually to each visual to see what the filter is about. But when you come to the filter section in Powerops, you will get a detailed list of all the visual level filters along with the filter definitions at a single place. Along with visual level filters, all the other filters, the page level filters, report filters, drill through filters, all of them come up here too. Bookmarks. All those who use Power BI on a regular basis, you know how bookmarks are like a black box concept. Once you apply bookmark, you very where you are always confused on what is included in the bookmark. What if I want to change some stuff in the bookmark? So what we've done is we have a bookmark details section in Powerops, which will give you detailed information about your bookmark. For example, the bookmark one here gives me information that there is a card visual in as a part of a bookmark, along with all these information saying what was the filter type used, are there any sort orders, what are the other cards that are available, there is a custom visual used. So basically we are trying to simplify it for you so that if you want to make any changes, you can always come back, refer, and then go back and make your changes. That is about the bookmarks. Other report levels, report objects like buttons, actions, sync slicers, and navigators are present too. Coming to the data model section, a very important section. So you know how if you have to have an optimized report, it's always better to have a very well structured data model. So in the data model section, we are giving a breakdown of all the data model elements present in your report. For example, the first, the number of tables, more information about the tables. For example, here I see that there are around 7 tables that I have. Now imagine your report has more than 20 tables. It's really tough for you to go make a list of all those tables, give more information about these tables. But here we have a detailed view of what the tables are, what are the type of tables we use, what are the storage mode you have. Suppose you have a live connection, you will also be able to see live connections here. What are the number of columns and so on. And coming to the column section, so here you'll have a breakdown of all the tables into columns along with more information about the columns. We can skip that as well. Coming to hierarchies, say your report has more than 10 hierarchies. If you want to know about them, instead of you going manually clicking each table to find out the hierarchies, Powerops will have all the hierarchies listed down for you at a single place. Coming to data sources, something is really important. Say your particular report has data source as Excel, has a data source as SQL. You have from data from data SQL databases, you have CSVs, you have TXT files. All of them get listed out here. So say you want to inform your clients about what are the tables you've used or what are the data sources you've used. All you have to do is come here, use the export option, export all of this into a CSV or Excel, and that's how you can go ahead and update your clients saying this is what I've done. Relationships. The relationship section will give you a quick overview of what relations are made between what columns, between what tables. Are there any cross-filter directions used? Is it a single direction or a double direction or the both directions? All that information you can find under the relationships. More and other elements like refresh policies, if you use any of those, come up here too. Coming to DAX. a section where I think most of our Power BI developers are really confused about. That's because sometimes what happens is to create one complicated measure, we end up creating a lot of other measures, maybe just for a error and trial purpose, or maybe just to simplify a process. But at the end, if you see, you are left out creating more than hundreds of measures sometimes. So what we've done is we've given you a concatenated list of all the measures that you've created in your report. By this, you can easily see, okay, there are 2 to 3 measures that I haven't used anywhere or that was not needed. You can always go ahead and clean up your reports by deleting them. Quick feature here we've given is called a copy to clipboard option. For example, you want to replicate the same expression in another report. All you have to do is come here, hit copy, go back to your report and paste it there. So it'll simplify your process. Similarly, the same case with calculated columns. When you created calculated columns within each table, if you have to figure out what are the calculated columns, you have to go manually, click each table, find out what the columns are, and then what the expression is. But what you see here is a detailed list of all the expressions of all the calculated columns in your report. The same case with the calculated tables. If you have any calculated tables, those come up here too. Power BI recently launched something called the DAX query view. So people who work with Power BI on a regular basis might be aware of this. What we've done is we've made sure that our product is updated and we also have a DAX query view. So all the queries that you create come up here. Similar is the case with visual calculations, a new feature by Power BI wherein you can create calculations on a visual level. So if you have to see how many visual calculations you have to click on each visual manually. But in Powerops, you see all of them listed out one after another. Dependency section, and trust me, this is a section which I use on a regular basis, a section where you can do an impact analysis of your model as well as the report level elements. Talking about model dependencies, you will see an ER diagram like this with a lot of arrows, a lot of color codings. So coming to the color codings, so you here see that the measures are an orange color. So whenever you see an orange color, you will come to know that that's a measure. Similarly is the case with the blue colors. The blue colors basically denotes columns. And then you see a couple of arrows. The arrows tell you the relationships or dependencies. For example, let's talk about this particular column called order date. Once I click it, you see a couple of things that have been highlighted. So basically what it's trying to tell you is if you are going to alter, modify, or delete this particular column order date, there are around 6 to 7 other elements which are measures as well as calculated columns that are going to be affected. To understand this better, all you can do is do a right click and hit filter. What it will tell me is this particular order date on deleting or altering or modifying is going to affect all this. And what if you delete this and all this gets affected, there is a chance that one of your visual breaks. So this is how you can do an impact analysis using the dependency section. So this was the model level dependency. So you only saw model level elements. Taking it one tier higher are the report dependencies. What we've done here is included 2 more features called pages and visuals. So this is where you can find out which visual will break in which page when a measure is changed. For example, I have a measure called profit margin. On clicking profit margin, you see there are 2 green dots. So the green dots denote visuals. There are two visuals that will be affected if you plan to change anything in the profit margin measure. So this is also a quick way of doing impact analysis using the dependency section. Coming to the Power Query dependencies, so here you will see all your data sources listed out here. Now, since I just have one Excel source with one Excel file targeting all these tables, it's very simple to take a look at. But imagine you have Excel, you have a CSV, you have SQL. That's where it will help you more. Here also, if you see, here it tells me that all these tables listed, so customer, location, sales agent, all these tables are dependent on one Excel. Now, if I go ahead and maybe make some changes in the Excel or delete the Excel, this is a way of telling me that if you are going to change anything here, all these tables get affected. This is pretty much about the dependency section. Quick note to note here is, say, you are someone who doesn't really like visual stuff and more into a table format. We've also provided you a table format for people who are not really comfortable with visuals. So the table format will give you information in a tabular format. Let's move on to M queries. So just a section where we're listing down all the M queries for documentation purposes. Say you want to download all of them together, we have a download option here as well. Roles. So you know in Power BI how we have row level security, how you have object level security. So this is a place where you can come to see all the list of all the row level securities in your report. Sometimes what happens is you apply a row level security and there are a couple of users who are not able to access some data. That's when you can come here and see maybe the people who are not able to access the data have some restrictions. So this is how you can use the the role section here. Info section gives you quick tidbit information about your report, and this entire section is very report specific. So here if you see, it tells you the theme. So basically this is the theme of my report, this is the language of my report. Coming to the right side, you see a couple of information like perspectives. Have you used auto time intelligence? Have you used sensitivity labels, and so on? And then you see a lot of trues and false, and you see a couple of trues that are in red color. The truths that are in red color are a sort of a warning that we want to give you, telling this is not a good practice. You should go back, take a look, and change a couple of stuff. Quick example here, there is a property which says uncertified custom visuals used, which is true in red. So basically, you have used custom visuals that are uncertified. So since it's in red, we are giving you a warning saying, please go back and take a look. This is something which you should not do. So what I can do is go back to my custom visual section and see out of the two visuals that I've used, there is one visual which is missing the tick mark. So the tick mark denotes that certification. So what I can do is either remove this particular custom visual or find an alternate custom visual which you see in your Microsoft App Source. So this is how you can go ahead and use the info section. Any questions from anyone about the analyze section before I show you our showstopper feature, the automated documentation? You can put in your questions in the chat or raise your hands. Anything works. Okay. Okay. I don't see any questions, so probably we can just proceed with the documentation. So the documentation, on clicking the documentation, you will see a selection screen. The selection screen gives you options of either documenting your entire report, both on the report or data model levels, or maybe you just want to convey your team about the model, you can even do that. For the demo purposes, let me just generate a documentation with the info section, but I will show you how it looks when I have a complete documentation generated. Once the document is ready, you have to type in the report and the doc name. Sorry, yeah. So once you do that, we've given you two file format options, PDF and Word. Word, because say you want to do a couple of changes. For example, you want to change the date, maybe add in your name, change the color scheme of your documentation, add in your company logo. That's the reason why we've given you a Word documentation export. And then we have a PDF version as well. Say you want to just convey information within your team. Directly, you can download it as PDF and forward it to them. Let me quickly show you how it looks like in a PDF format. So once you generate the documentation, the first page is always going to be a table of contents page, wherein you will see all the elements that you just saw in the analyze section. Quick thing to note is all the sections that you saw and everything here on the table of contents is clickable. So for example, you directly want to navigate to the measures area, just click on measures and it will take you to the measures part in the entire documentation, wherein all my measures along with the expressions are listed out. So basically everything and anything you just saw in the analyze section gets beautifully documented in a formatted way in the PDF as well as Word format. So if you see the info section is formatted here as well. Quick thing to note again here is even if your measure is going to have a comment, that gets documented too. This is a quick example of what I was talking about. So this particular measure called profit margin has a comment in my Power BI report. So when you create a documentation, even the comment gets documented for you. So this is about the PDF documentation. Let me quickly also show you the Word documentation I was talking about. So this is the Word format. So everything you saw in the PDF just gets downloaded as the Word document. Like I told, say you want to change in your date, you can do that. Maybe you want to add in your name saying this documentation was created by Lakshmi, you can do that as well. Or best case scenario, say you want to add in your logo, you can do that in the documentation as well. So this is pretty much about the documentation feature. Any questions about the documentation or analyze, please put in the chat box. I will look into it as we go through. Uh, okay, coming to the find usage section. This section is really good for two purposes. One, do a quick impact analysis. And two, clean up your reports. Like I mentioned before, sometimes to create one particular measure, we keep creating a lot of measures, creating random calculated columns, and we do not use it anywhere in a report. This adds bulk to your entire report, affects the efficiency and performance of your reports as well. So cleaning up your reports is something that's really, really important. This find usage section,
Well,
yes.
then, Rose asked, I need to review my SaaS tabular model, and the question is, can we connect to SaaS?
So in the Powerops desktop, you would not be able to do that, since I told you that you do not require internet to access this. It's like a local thing that lies in your system, so that would not be possible right now.
If I may, I'm not familiar with Powerops at all. It's the first time I hear about it, but we can do it in Power BI. So I add to the
Yes.
question, if I will do it in Power BI, it should be presented in the Powerops as well, right?
Yes, yes, it will. So basically, what will happen is it will take it as a live connection, but you will not be able to see anything about the model. You will be able to see all the report elements though.
Okay.
Perfect. Great. Okay, coming back to the find usage section. So let's talk about the first usage, which I was talking about, that is the impact analysis. So on the left side, you see all my table names listed out here. There are a couple of tables where you see there are red dots. So basically, these red dots denote there are elements in that particular table that are unused. So first, let's talk about, there is a column called customer key, which has 3 written next to it. When I click that, you will be able to see where this particular column was used. For example, here it tells me in the data model, in a relationship, it was used once. In DAX, it was used to create a calculated column. It will also give you an expression and also highlight where exactly the column was used. And it will also tell me that it was used in roles. So basically, this customer key, when deleted, when altered, when modified, will affect all these 3 areas. You can also export this. So that's a quick option that we've given. You see there is another column which says customers, basically has a name of my customers, and that particular column has not been used anywhere in my report. Since I know that it's not been used anywhere in my report, you can always go back to your report and clean it up. So this is a quick cleanup feature that I was talking about. And it also supports the measure. So if you see, I have a measure called top product that I've created, and it has been used at 2 places. One, to create a visual, and two, in a bookmark detail. So even in bookmarks, it was able to figure out that this particular measure has been used inside a table. So if there's a measure which is used to create another measure, that is also picked up in the find usage section. Um, for people who are not really comfortable with the table view, we have a visual view. For example, I have a stores table here, which has just 2 columns. And here I see that there is one column that has been used once. When I click on it, it will exactly tell you where it was used. And there is another column called stores, which has not been used. So you can always go back to your Power BI report and delete it. After deleting, once you come back here, you will see that this goes away. So that's a quick way of how you can use the find usage section. Any questions on the find usage section, please leave it in the comment box. We can take it up as we go. Perfect. Coming to the compare section. Let's talk about a use case scenario. Say I have a report, sales report, and Ronan also has a report called sales report. Basically, same report, 2 different versions. Now, both of us were just having a quick chat, and if I have to compare 2 reports in Power BI, you know how hectic it is. One, either I open two Power BI reports side by side and do everything manually, or two, just an advanced option where you can do a Git diff. But as Power BI developers, new Power BI developers, freshers who have less idea about Git diff will not be able to really understand what were the changes made. So what we have done is given a very user-friendly, user-intuitive compare feature, wherein all you have to do is put in both the reports. So if you see here, I've added sales report and then I've added sales reports version 2 and hit compare. On hit compare, you see a colorful screen that comes up. So all these colors have a meaning. All the yellows that you see indicate that there is a modification that was being done. So the modification doesn't have to be a major modification. It can even be a minute, a very small modification. The reds denote removed. So basically something has been deleted. And then the greens denote added. When we talk about the elements here, all the report elements, all the data model elements that you saw in the analyze section, you will be able to see here. For example, let's talk about the report section where it says there were 97 modifications done. Coming to the subdivisions, it will tell you that there were just 3 modifications done on the pages side, but there were 91 modifications that were done on the visual side and so on. Let's talk about pages, and once you see, it will tell you what was the source. So basically one report information on one side, the second report information on the second side. In the center, you have a status feature. When I click on, since in the first status it says modified, when I click on modify, you see a pop-up box comes up. So instead of just telling there was a modification, we will point out to you exactly where the modification was done. So here, if you see there were a couple of color modifications that were done. There were a couple of images that were added. The landing pages have changed as well. So this is one quick feature that you can use to not only see what the change was, but to understand what the exact change was. Another quick thing like removed. So basically my source had 4 pages wherein I had a page 1 that was removed, and instead of page 1 I have a new page called contact us. So this is how you can use the compare section. Let's go deep into the compare section in the DAX section. So like I mentioned, even the minutest of minute change will be detected. So if you see just from a bird's eye, you might think, okay, yeah, both of my measures are same. But if you pay close attention, you will see that in the first report, I have used a top n with 1, and in the second report, I have a top n with 2. So basically, just by changing the number 1 to number 2, there is a major difference that will happen on your report side. So here, if you see, even the minute thing was captured. So this is how basically you can easily compare to reports, easily understand that what were the changes done. And probably if you think that this change is better than the other change, you can always go back to your Power BI report, change it, refresh it, save it, and when you come back here, you will be able to see the change as well. So this is pretty much about the compare section. And if you see in my first, I had auto time intelligence enabled, but in the second, it has been disabled to false. Similarly, I had a change in my theme. The names of my files have changed. All of this has come up here too. Something on our roadmap in the compare section is to have a documentation feature here as well, wherein I will be able to document what were the exact changes made it, where were the changes made it, just for the documentation purposes. This is pretty much about the compare section. Any questions, any thoughts, any feedback, I would love to know from you guys. So please uh, use it. Yes, I see a quick question from Ronan. Yes, we do have version controlling for Power BI. I will show a quick demo of it in the SaaS version just after I finish with the desktop. Great. So this is about the compare section. Now let's quickly move on to my favorite section, which I've been boasting about since the beginning, which is the best practice section. So the best practice section, sometimes we create a very beautiful report and we think, oh, this is perfect. But what Microsoft has done is given us a set of best practice rules that they want us to follow. So this is the rule that was given to us by Microsoft. So if you see, everything is basically in a JSON format. So let's talk about this particular rule where it says the model using direct query and no aggregations. And they've given some description, they've given a severity, they've given some expression. Now, as a fresher, as a Power BI developer, for me to understand what exactly this rule means, what exactly this best practice means, how I can go back to my report and modify it to make sure the best practices are met is a little tough, because understanding JSON is a little tough. What we've done is we've picked up all these rules given up by Microsoft and we've put it down for you in a very user-friendly way. Quick thing to note here is Microsoft has given only the data model level rules, but what we did is we collaborated with a couple of Microsoft MVPs and we also brought in 22 report level rules for you. Let's go in detail about those. The first is the overview section where you will see that out of the 82 rules, there are 35 rules that have failed and 47 have passed. So no matter how beautiful your reports look, you will always be able to see maybe there is a performance issue. Maybe there is a DAX expression issue which you are not able to see. Powerops will detect it out for you. In the report section, like I told you, here it tells me 35 have failed. In order to understand that better, we've given you the breakdown of where you should concentrate more. For example, here in the report, 12 have failed. So basically, there are 12 report elements, 12 best practices that you should look into. Maybe in the naming conventions, there was just one that has failed. So this is a quick overview section. Let's quickly move on to the other sections. Like we have report, we have formatting. Quick thing to note here is you might see there are H, M, and L here. So these are high level, medium level, and low level. So these were given to us by Microsoft, but you can always go ahead and edit those. I will show you how you can do that in just a second. Before we go, I would like to point out a couple of features. So in every section you see in the best practices, you will see a very descriptive best practice rule along with the description, along with resources if we have any. Apart from that, you will also see that every pain point or every visual that is failing the best practice rule will be listed out here explicitly. For example, this particular report rule says every visual should have a title, but it tells me there are 24 objects which are not following that. When I go into this table, it will tell you that there is a executive in the page name executive. There is a stacked column chart that does not have a title. So this is how detailed the report element is. And how you can use this best practice is this way. Let's pick a random rule here. For example, I am picking a rule here which says the page should not have a canvas wallpaper as an image. Apart from this, it's also telling me that I have a page 1 which is using some random wallpaper element. Now let's go back to my report, and when I go to page 1, you see that I have a random background going on here. What I am going to do is just going to delete it and then I am going to save it. Once my Power BI file is saved, you will see a reload pop-up that comes up here. It will take a few seconds. Did I save it? Just a second. Yeah. So after saving, I have a reload option here. Once I hit reload, you will see that the rule which was failing will move on to pass. So I'm hitting the reload now. So let's look for the rule here. So here I have it. So what you've seen is I self-audited the entire rule. I went ahead and made my changes and made sure that rule was passed. Let's talk about a couple of data model level rules. Coming to the formatting, you see H, M, and L. Now, for example, your organization says, I do not care about the low level, low severity rules right now. I want you to focus on medium and high level. You can just use these check boxes to make work easier for you. So what I've done right now is discarded the low level rules, and I'm going to look into a high level rule. Let's pick this high level rule which says the first letter of any object that you create should be capitalized. And it also tells me that I have a measure called profit margin. A measure called profit margin doesn't have the first letter as capitalized. Let's go back to my report and take a look. So let's go back to my data model section, and then let's go to, oh, sorry, data model. And I'm just going to type profit here. So if you see here, I have a measure called profit, which has a small p. I am going to capitalize it. After capitalizing it, I am going to save it. And I'll go back to Powerops. Again, you will see a reload option. Once I hit reload, you will be able to see that the rule which was failing moves on to the rule which is passed. So here, so the rule has passed. So this is how I can go ahead, sit and look into all these 7 rules and make sure all these failing rules pass. This is a quick way of, again, self-auditing your reports. Let's do another last example of performance. When it comes to performance, it's always advised not to use auto date tables. And yeah, Ronan, do you have anything for me?
Yes, it's a question. The rules that you are showing us now, they are built-in rules, right?
Yes.
My question is, how can we change those built-in? Because the last rule that you just mentioned, I hate it. I really think that it's a bad rule to make us have a capital first letter. So it's my
Right.
opinion. Asking you how we can change it.
Yes, sure. Just after this, I will just show it to you how you can change, how you can add new rules, and probably how you can delete rules as well. That's a great question. Okay, so just a last demo of the performance. So in the performance, like I was talking about, it's always a good practice to have not have auto date tables. But here, if you see, I have auto date tables and I have the auto time intelligence enabled. In order to make this rule pass, all I'm going to do is go back to my Power BI report, go to my report level settings, and I'm going to disable the auto time intelligence. So here I have auto date tables. I'm going to switch it off, click OK, and then as usual going to save it, and I'll go back here, wait for the pop-up box to come up, hit reload. And also you can notice how quickly the pop-up comes up. So just takes a couple of seconds and you see that all my remove auto table has moved on to pass. So that's a quick way of how you can self-audit your own reports using this best practice section. Now, there are a couple of things that we've added here. The first is edit rule options. For example, you have 82 rules, and there are a couple of rules you would like to edit. Let's talk about this particular, let's talk first about enabling and disabling rules. So for example, your organization is like, no, I don't care about these rules. Just disable those. Or you do not want to display these rules. Just delete those. Or if you want to change a couple of rules, you can do that too. For example, here it tells me that each tooltip page should have this width and this height. But your organization says that I want it to be a high level rule wherein I want my height should always be 820, not 720. So I am just changing 720 to 820. I am going to do that here as well. Once I change the expression, I am going to validate my expression and click save. Once I click save, you see how my rule gets changed to 820 and my severity changed to high as well. This is how you can edit rules. Coming to add rules, we have an option called add rules, or you can just type in whatever name you want, whatever rule you want, set a particular severity, set your own descriptions, select the scope. Maybe you want it only for a visual level scope, type in your expression, validate your expression and hit save. So that's how you can add in your own rules. And quick other features to notice here is, like I told you, Microsoft best practices, we have Powerops default, and we have something called custom. For example, your organization already has a set of rules they've been following since years. And if you want to use those, all you have is either have a GitHub URL for that, or even if you if you have a JSON file, just come here and upload it, you will be able to use it. Quick use, Ronan, I hope this answers your question of how we can add rules and delete rules.
Absolutely. It's great.
Perfect, perfect. Another quick thing to note here is how you can use the best practice section to maintain a standard within your team is, say, as a manager, I have decided that in the report level, I just want say medium level and high level rules. I do not care about the low level rules. And then I go ahead and make a couple of changes here. After making all the changes, after reviewing all the 55 rules, Once I am satisfied, I can download all these rules in a JSON format. For example, I'm downloading all my report rules in a JSON format. You see report rules.json has been downloaded. And then what I'm going to do is pass this report JSON to all my team members. What my team members are going to do is they are going to go to custom, upload my JSON file here, which was, and then whatever rules that I created will be passed on to them. So since I only downloaded the report level rules, you see that only my 8 report level rules are being displayed here. So this is a good way of how you can standardize using the best practices in your organization. So that's pretty much about Powerops Desktop. Any questions on any of the sections, I am open to answer. Since I'm waiting for questions, I will also show you a couple of things that we have. Like we have a dark mode. For people who are comfortable with dark mode, we've added that feature as well. Apart from that, we have a section called logs. This is a section where you can create your logs. Say you are playing around with Powerops and you come across an error. Whenever there is an error, there is a log that happens. You can reach out to the customer support. You can reach out to me, to my organization, by just sending out the log and telling us that this is the issue that we face, and it'll help us basically troubleshoot more better. So this is a quick way of how you can use the settings. Other stuff like you can change it, light theme, dark theme. We have system. Currently, we have English, and something on our roadmap is to support a couple of other languages as well. Licenses, information about, so whenever you have a new version, that comes up here too. Any questions? Okay, I don't see any questions. Great. Let's go back to Powerops. Quick things I want to show you on the, I think we do have time. Great. On the website is we have a resource section with detailed documentation, a couple of blogs. I would advise you to go ahead and look at it. Coming to the SaaS version, I want to quickly show you the version controlling system that we have inbuilt. So all you have to do is go to powerops.app, click try for free, click on Powerops SaaS, go ahead and register. Once you finish your registering, it will ask you to log in using GitHub or Azure DevOps. The reason we ask you to log in through GitHub and Azure DevOps is to give you a sense of security that your information lies within your credentials. I will also open DevOps on the other tab just to show you how quickly things happen. So now in Powerops, I'm going to click DevOps. Once I click DevOps, it's going to ask me for my credential. I'm going to give Lakshmi my credential. I will also open DevOps on the other tab. Once I open the Powerops SaaS, on the top, you will see all the sections that you just saw in Powerops Desktop. Analyze, find usage, compare, and best practices. Something new you'll notice here is version history. Let's ignore this for now. So once this is my DevOps, which is open. This is my SaaS that's open. Once SaaS is connected to your DevOps, you will see all your organizations listed out here. All the projects you're a part of gets listed out here. Let's start by creating a fresh workspace. Let's do CDD demo. So this is my repo name. This is my description, and I am going to add in a file. Since we're talking about version controlling, we've included the PBIP format. Let me just see Powerops demo, PBIP sales version 1. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my repo. What I am currently doing is putting in my Power BI file into Powerops. So here you see CDD demo comes up here, sales report. Since it's a PBIP format, you will see report and data model coming up separately. Now, let's go to my DevOps, do a quick refresh. Now, let's type CDD demo. So that's the workspace that I created. And I've added my report and semantic model. You see the last change says just now. So what's happening is when I upload a file in my Powerops, the file goes to my Azure, my DevOps login, and it happens like within a few seconds. So you see just now right here. Now, when I click on the sales report here, everything that you saw, analyze, find usage, compare best practices, and then we see a new section called version history. Here you will be able to see all the commit details. For example, here it tells me that Lakshmi has added a sales report on March 6th at 12:54 p.m. Now what I do is say, I had a discussion with my clients. After 3 days, they've asked me a couple of changes. I am done with the changes. Now I want to push my new file over here. All I have to do is hit modify and upload the new modified file that I have. So I am uploading the new modified file that I have. Once I do that, you will see a comparison screen where it will show me what are the comparisons or what were the modifications done. So all the compare section feature that we just saw comes up here. For example, there was a table that was added, enquiries that were changed, report level elements that were changed. Now, as a developer, I just go through all this and I'm like, okay, I am good to go. And then I can put in a comment message and push. Before we do that, let's focus on one particular area so that we notice the change. In the sales report, let's go to the number of tables. You see my current number of tables is 7. What I am going to do is going to replace this with another file which has 8 tables. So I am uploading my new file and then I am putting a message, changes approved. So after looking into all my changes, I am good to go and then I hit push. Now what's happening is my old file gets replaced by my new file. So here it says file has been modified successfully. Quickly, let's hop on to tables. You see how it has become 8 now. So basically one new table was added. Now when I go to my version history, it will give me a history saying initially there was a file added by Lakshmi on this at this. Later, a few days later, she came, she pushed some changes, and then on this, at this. Now, there is another person who comes and makes the changes. Ronan comes and makes the changes. Tom comes and makes the changes. You will see all the version histories being added one after another. Suddenly, your client comes back and tells, I don't want any of these changes. I want to go back to my first report. All you have to do is go to your first report. You have a restore option. Hit the restore option. You see a pop-up saying restoring commit, and here it says reverted back. Let's quickly go back to my report. Going back to my number of tables, you see how the initial tables 8 has reverted back to my table 7. So basically, using the version history, very easily you can track who made the changes, when was the change made. Second, you can always revert back to any commit you want. Say there are 20 commits here. You want to go back to the 5th commit. All you have to do is go to the 5th commit, hit restore. Another nice, interesting feature is you want to see the comparison between two commits. Just hit the compare feature. For example, I want to see the comparison between the first two commits. I just hit the comparison. It'll exactly tell me what was the comparison made. Another quick important feature to notice here is, say, after making lots and lots of changes, suddenly you realize that the Power BI file is missing from your local or is missing from your GitHub, is missing from your service. All you have to do is just come here, click the particular file you're looking for, and then we have a download option. So here we have download options. Hit download and you will be able to download the PBIP file. So the version history is a very detailed section, very user friendly. Even if you do not have proper knowledge about CI/CD, it will help you version control your reports. It will help you compare the versions of two reports or two commits. You can easily restore your old reports just by a single click, and even download a report just in case you forgot something. So this is one extra feature that we offer in the SaaS version. The reason being, obviously, you do need internet for this, and you are asked to connect to either your DevOps or your GitHub. So that's pretty much about Powerops SaaS. Ronan, what do you think about the version controlling feature? I think you just asked this question. Okay. Any questions, please feel free to put it out in the chat box. Let's quickly go back to our presentation where I'd like to show you a couple of stuff about the data security. So, one second. So coming to the data security, Powerops is SO2 certified. So basically, we meet all the industry standard for security compliance. So you can be assured that your data is safe. Coming to the roadmap, couple of things that are coming up is we're going to bring in pull requests that you do in DevOps. You don't have to log into DevOps anymore. You can do everything from Powerops. So by the end of this phase, we are expecting a pull request. We have peer review just for increasing collaboration. We are coming up with an admin portal where you will be able to see metrics. In the second phase, something we have are automated deployments, so the deployment pipelines in Power BI, which are a little confusing. We're going to put it together in a very user-friendly way. Just by a couple of clicks, you would be able to achieve what you want. We're going to bring in no-code pipelines and notifications and many more in the SaaS. In the desktop, something which we're trying to do is a tenant level analysis, where you will be able to see if this particular measure is used in any other report. And we've been actively working on it, so you can stay updated for the release of that. And that's pretty much from my side. Hope the session was interesting. Hope you guys had fun. Any questions? I am good to go and ready to take out your questions. Okay. Any thoughts? Let me know if you like the tool, something which you liked in specific. I'd be happy to know that too.
Okay, let's see if we have more questions here. Please use the chat. And in the meantime, one second. Okay, so first of all, I want to thank our speaker, Lakshmi. It's a great session. It's a new topic for me as well. So we need it after. And I do remind you that we are starting the Future Data Driven Summit. I will send you, this is to you, not to the audience. I will send you an invitation to the team. I didn't open it yet. And to everyone, I remind you the registration is open, but you don't have all the information yet. So if you want first to check for the session and the list of speakers, you will need to wait a bit because we are in the step of call for speakers, so people can submit their session now. Next step will be selecting the sessions, and then we will present it on the website. So the call for speaker is open. The registration is already open, the early registration. We might even give some gift to people that will register earlier, like we have done last year, but we didn't plan yet. Okay, I want to remind you all that you can follow me or Jen Joseph on social media to get up-to-date information regarding the community and, of course, our website. We are recording this session. Once it will be ready, it will take me a few days. I will announce this and put a link on my social media. This is the first way to get it, and it will be in YouTube. So again, thanks everyone, and thank you to our speaker. You are more than welcome to add more questions if you have. Yeah, this is my link. Thanks for sharing it.
No worries.
Usually I just put the QR, so it's good for recording as well. You can just scan it, but it's too. If anyone here want to speak, use your voice. We can unmute everyone and give you option to use your camera as well. And thanks everyone for joining us. If there are no questions, we will close the meeting for today, and we will meet you all next week, like every week, at the same day, at the same time.
Thank you, Ronan. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye all.
Bye-bye.